Part 190. Back to the 60s, The Struggle Career of a Charmed Wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 1891. This kind of thing happens everywhere. When the Liu family was ransacked, wasn't it also robbed and kidnapped? However, Feng Qingxiu felt that she didn't have enough money to buy cultural relics from formal channels. How could she have the spare money and energy to find some servant of a wealthy family in the past to buy old items? No matter how much ordinary people cherish them, it is unlikely that any cultural relics store will be well preserved, and it is easy to cause trouble. It is certainly not easy to get away a large number of old items from the old owner. Even if Zhou Minjiu didn't say anything, Feng Qingxiu could guess that this couple might be her servants, and there was a high possibility that the things in their hands once belonged to their family. "I don't have time anymore," Feng Qingxiu replied bluntly, unmoved. "A foreigner, come to buy old things without hesitation. It will definitely arouse others' suspicion, and then trigger a series of troubles. Besides, people also you don't have to sell it to me, why should I go directly to the cultural relics store?" Zhou Minjiu sighed. "You are very smart and cautious. I don't have money. If I had money, I would have found a way to get the things back from them." Feng Qingxiu smiled and said nothing, indicating that she was dubious about her words. Yes, many capitalists, landowners and other wealthy families were robbed and wiped out their entire fortune, but most of them were old men who came from the war years. They must have somewhere to hide their things, and it is impossible to really have nothing. In the early years, the jewelry items Feng Qingxiu exchanged for food on the black market were enough to prove it. Zhou Minjiu said this, maybe because it was inconvenient to exchange money, so he said he had no money. Zhou Minjiu saw Feng Qingxiu's expression and didn't care what she was thinking. Those old objects are really good things. If you are serious, don't miss them. How can they have any insight? A pastel from the Qianlong period. If the plate is sold to Yuyi store for $1, I think I have made a profit, but if it is sold to a foreigner at Yuyi store, it will be sold to a foreigner for $300. Feng Qingxiu snorted. It couldn't be such a coincidence, right? Is the porcelain plate she bought with Adrian's help from the Zhou family? She remembered that when she read the interview later, she also said that the plate was purchased for $1. However, the year of acquisition was the 1960s, and there is still a piece of paper on the bottom of the plate with 1966 written on it. "Comrade Zhou, if you really want to buy it back, I will lend you some money and you can find someone to buy it yourself. Can you estimate how much it will cost to buy it back? I have to go back quickly. My child is still there. The hotel is waiting for me." Zhou Minjiu's eyes lit up. "Are you willing to lend me money?" "Yes, I can, but I can't borrow much. I also borrowed money to buy things." She stated in the IOU that she would pay off the 10,000 yuan within 3 years, which was a lot of pressure. "Wait a minute." Zhou Minjiu turned around and walked into an alley. After about a quarter of an hour, Zhou Minjiu handed Feng Qingxiu a jewelry box larger than a palm. "This is for you. Lend me 500 yuan and I will pay you back tomorrow." She couldn't get into the place where the gold was hidden, and she couldn't go to the black market to exchange it for money. She originally thought that instead of falling into the hands of the cunning Zhou Ping couple, it would be better for Feng Qingxiu to buy it. She could see that Feng Qingxiu valued this area, was gentle and kind, and could be regarded as an old item in her family. It was a good home. Now that she had the chance to take it back, she suddenly became excited and decided to accept Feng Qingxiu's suggestion. It would be better to take it back if it fell into the hands of others. Feng Qingxiu opened the jewelry box, took a look, and immediately closed the lid with a look of shock on her face. Back to the 60s, The Struggle Career of a Charmed Wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 1892. The jewelry box is made of huanghuali. Huanghuali is slightly lighter than mahogany such as rosewood, but the things in the box are not light. They are a pair of emerald round bracelets lined with black velvet. They are full of emerald green, even and rich, and they are old. The hand polishing process is not very good, the surface is slightly uneven, and the crystal clearness of ice jade is not revealed. In the past, due to the excavation technology, most of the jadeite that could be mined was the shallow jadeite rough stone. Most of the ground was relatively rough. Just look at the jadeite in the cultural relics of the Qing dynasty. Therefore, the ice jadeite was considered to be the top grade at that time. Of course, there are no glass species, just a very small number. This is not an ordinary thing. After 20 or 30 years, it must be worth tens of millions at least, possibly hundreds of millions. After all, this is a pair, although there are inevitably some flaws such as cotton that are common in jade. It is not the best jadeite, but the full green color is good, the water is good, and there are no so-called flaws at all on the upper body. Zhou Minjiao smiled and said, "You really know your stuff." After a pause, she continued, "This pair of bracelets is no worse than twist bracelets. The flaws in the twist bracelets were removed during carving, so they had to be made into twist styles. Mine is made of round bars, scrap material, and good material. It costs a total of 50,000 yuan. Feng Qingxiu quickly pushed it back, "I can't accept such an expensive thing." During difficult times, she exchanged food for jewelry items on the black market. She didn't feel guilty, because that was the market at that time. Anyone who was willing to exchange food knew that food was more important than jewelry items. She gave her a lot of food, and others said she was a nice person. So generous. Zhou Minjiao smiled again, his brows relaxed, but his elegance remained the same. "Times have changed. How much is this thing worth?" Many jewelry sold to foreigners in the friendship store only cost 110 yuan each, which is not even as good as what I want. Value. I know that things that should be valuable will definitely be valuable in the future. Gold and jewelry will appreciate more than money, but I may not be able to wait until then. Just take it. I was sweeping the street and saw you taking care of your children. It's also good to go out for fun and pass it on to your daughter as a dowry. Feng Qingxiu really liked jadeite, and the pair of bracelets in front of her were of high quality, so she stopped being pretentious and said, "Then I'll accept it, old lady, and you don't have to pay me back the money, otherwise I'll feel I deserve it." Zhou Minjiao thought for a while and agreed, "You are still at a disadvantage. This thing is not worth 500 now. It will definitely be worth it in the future. I won't suffer any loss." Feng Qingxiu has always treated me with respect, and I respect others with a measure of respect. I took out a bundle of bundles and stuffed them into her without looking at anyone passing by. This bundle was a bundle. Hundreds of sheets. Zhou Minjiao has bright eyes and a bright heart, how could he not notice it? Naturally, I felt very comfortable. After selling some things in the cultural relics store and friendship store, they will take out some things from the warehouse and put them on the counter. I can see that you are in good condition and you like these, so you might as well go shopping more. Sooner or later, money will depreciate, but jewelry and antiques are different. They are all items that can be passed down from family to family. If you buy something for a few yuan or 100 yuan, you will definitely make 1,000 times profit over time. After all, he is an old man with life experience, his vision is precise and unique, and his views are exactly the same as those of Lu's father. Feng Qingxiu said that she was taught a lesson. Isn't that the reason why she borrowed money to buy these things? Of course, another reason is that we don't want cultural heritage to be lost overseas. It doesn't feel right no matter how you think about living overseas first, and then being bought back by the country or compatriots at a high price. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 1893. There are so many cultural relics and antiques in these stores. It's no wonder that the salesperson at the friendship store couldn't say less than 1,000,000 pieces. It's also no wonder that later generations said that in the mid to late 1980s, the store handed over as many as 3 million cultural relics to the cultural relics department for sealing based on their valuation. Just a place in Shanghai, one of the shops. But she doesn't have enough money, and she doesn't have enough time, and she can't buy in large quantities in her own name. She can only export through wholesale. Not sure if there would be a chance to come back to Shanghai in a short period of time, Feng Qingxiu couldn't resist the temptation of a huge profit, discussed it with the children, and called Lu Zhang to explain that she had delayed her return. Delaying going back means delaying going to school. Lu Erxian was the most excited and wanted to shout. Feng Qingxiu was not worried about their studies. Zibao had said that their studies in their hometown had long exceeded the scope of their studies, so during the delay, she arranged for Yayan and Fuebao to watch the three of them when they were not going out to play. The twins review their homework, and I will always check their homework to prevent them from neglecting their studies due to fun. Before Adrian prepared to go to the capital, Feng Qingxiu asked him to accompany her and her children to visit the friendship store. There are two types that have the greatest potential for appreciation, one is antiques, the other is jade. Mutton fat jade is slightly inferior. Compared to real estate, Feng Qingxiu believes that investing in these two things is more profitable. Think about it, after entering the 1980s, a capital courtyard house required an investment of tens of thousands or even six figures. Just repairing and preserving it would cost a lot of money and energy, and you might have to live in the courtyard house. Dealing with residents is worth a lot of money in the 21st century, ranging from tens of millions to hundreds of millions, but it is not as exciting as wearing a set of top-quality jadeite. The real best is the imperial green of Laocoon glass, which is 1/1000th of the price of high-grade jadeite. A single bracelet may cost hundreds of millions, not to mention that she still has complete sets and unprocessed jadeite stones in her hands. All added together, these jadeite did not cost more than 10,000 yuan. This is true for jade, and so is antiques. When they arrived at the friendship store, there were indeed new treasures on the counter. Feng Qingxiu caught her eye at a pastel hollow revolving vase from the Qianlong period. It was colorful and gaudy enough to make people dizzy. But it is eye-catching, and it is valuable. The price of hundreds of millions is simply not worth its craftsmanship and history. This bottle is beautiful. There is actually a bottle inside that can be rotated to produce different patterns from the outside of the bottle. It's really amazing. I admire it. Adrian found it very novel and even took special photos of the bottle from all angles. I will definitely buy one and take it back when I am ready to go back to China. Compared with the plate, the revolving bottle was more expensive, costing Feng Qingxiu 800 yuan, which made her flesh ache. However, she thought that the bottle would be worth hundreds of millions in 30 or 40 years, and the pain was not so obvious. Feng Qingxiu deeply felt that she had invested wisely. "Mom, can you lend me 100 yuan?" Fu Bao said suddenly. Feng Qingxiu was stunned. "Why are you borrowing money?" Fu Bao pointed to the counter with many jewelry displays. "I saw a beautiful piece of jewelry and I want to buy it. I definitely won't be able to buy it without Adrian's help next time. None of them have foreign passports, and they don't have remittance coupons in their hands now. The current situation is that gold and silver are almost bought by banks. Although there are also gold and silver jewelry here, most of them are jewelry." Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 1894. Compared with banknotes that would depreciate in the 1980s, jewelry definitely has the potential to increase in value. Feng Qingxiu thought for a moment and agreed to her daughter's request. She even accompanied her to the jewelry counter to see the jewelry she liked. My dear, my daughter is discerning, just like me. She took a fancy to a round jadeite bracelet, which she hadn't seen the last time she came here. It was probably a new product. The ring looked a little small. It was green and green, like a stream of clear water flowing. It was crystal clear. It was the Laocoon glass variety. The color is a true imperial green, with a strong sense of light, but there are flaws. Because it is too crystal clear, it is easy to see the cotton wool and slight spots inside, but the flaws are not hidden. This bracelet is so beautiful, full of vitality. It alone surpasses the pair Zhou Minjiao gave her. Some people say that young people cannot resist imperial green. In fact, that is not the case at all. Imperial green jade bracelets are suitable for women of all ages and are versatile. The older they are, the more charming they become. I just like it. When I saw it, I liked it from the bottom of my heart. Fu Bao stared at the bracelet on the counter, unable to describe the feeling. The price is 120 yuan. Mom, are you willing to lend me the money? Give it to me. I have more than 30 yuan. Mom, you can lend me 100 yuan and I will repay it with my future pocket money and New Year's money. Of course, the jade pendant was destined to be with someone, and Fu Bao caught it at first sight, which meant that she and the bracelet were destined. Feng Qingxiu generously paid for it, and Adrian came forward to buy it. With foreign passports, the salesperson has no hesitation. Fu Bao happily put it on her left wrist. The white wrist made the bracelet even more emerald and beautiful. She admired it for a moment and then took it off and gave it to her mother to try on. Feng Qingxiu smiled and put it on her wrist again. It's a little too small for me, so you can wear it yourself. It is indeed small. According to her visual inspection, the ring opening is only 53 millimeters. This size refers to the diameter of the bracelet. She measured her hand size, which was 56 for the round bar, 57 for the peace bracelet, and 58 for the royal concubine bracelet. Although she was not fat and her wrists were not thick, she had been exercising for many years and often performed surgeries, so her hand bones were far less soft than her daughter's. So she usually wears round bar bracelets ranging from 56 to 58, and cannot wear bracelets below 56. The round bar of 55 can also be worn tightly against the flesh, but she does not have to suffer that pain. For Fubao, the 53 round bracelet is a little too big, but she is 13 years old this year, her joints are soft and there is a lot of room for growth. Maybe when she becomes an adult, she won't be able to wear this bracelet. Mom, I'll buy it for you. Which one do you like? Zhuang lay on the counter and looked at the dazzling array of jewelry. Dun then added, I can fight for money with Zhuang. Lu Erxiang timidly said, I have spent all my money. Yan smiled and said, Xiang, I can lend it to you. You just need to use your future pocket money and New Year's money to pay it back to me. Lu Erxiang covered his deflated pocket and shouted, Brother Ye, how could you do this? The third brother and the younger brother decided to join forces to buy jewelry for their mother. Don't you think you should also contribute a little? Feng Qingxiu slapped him on the head, how can anyone be like you? Lu Erxiang. She felt that it was not good for her son to ask Yan to pay, but Yan felt very happy. This showed that Lu Erxiang regarded herself as a family, and of course the family would advance and retreat together, so she said happily, Dun, Zhuang, where should we buy? One piece. Aunt Lu, which one do you like? We will buy it for you. Uncle Lu will be very happy when you and Fubao return to the capital beautifully. Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 1895. You are children, children. Just study hard and make progress every day. Why do you worry so much? Besides, your money is given to you by adults, not by your own ability. So, when you grow up, when you become an adult, you can buy me something when you earn money, and I will accept it happily. Feng Qingxiu was not so shameless to let such a young child buy jewelry for herself with pocket money. Seeing the hesitant look on their faces, she then smiled and said, "The person who should buy jewelry for me is in the capital, you kids don't get involved." Being as smart as them, they instantly understood that she was referring to Lu Zhang. Lu Erxiang said with a smile, "Ask Dad to buy it for you when you get to the capital. He will definitely buy it for you. Don't spend his money, hey. Feng Qingxiu's reaction was to slap him again. Lu Erxiang looked fierce and his shot was like wind, but actually it landed on the top of his head very lightly. Lu Erxiang didn't feel any pain or itching, just like a normal person. "Mom, what else do you want to buy? Adrian and I will buy it with you. There are so many things I want to buy, and I can't wait to drive home and take all the cultural relics and antiques in the store home. Money is tight." Feng Qingxiu bought some jade jewelry at the jewelry counter, including jadeite, Hessian jade, and gemstones. The prices ranged from hundreds to 10 or 20 yuan. The quality was quite good, but the jadeite that matched Fu Bao's bracelet was, no more, which shows that good jadeite can only be found but cannot be found. The best and most expensive jadeite, a high ice jadeite with full green color, was bought in retrospect and given to Adrian. Adrian helped for free, and she was grateful, so she could only give a little in return. With only $2,000 left, she had to spend money on food, accommodation, and going home. Feng Qingxiu was determined to spend it. She went to the black market in the evening and sold part of the gold to get the funds back. At the turn of the old and the new, there are many people who want to go abroad and go to Hong Kong, and there are many people who want to collect gold. Moreover, the black market price far exceeds the bank purchase price. The price of gold has increased now. It is not the 5 yuan per gram it was more than 10 years ago. However, the international gold price is also much cheaper than the previous 2 years, almost halving, because starting in 1971, the US dollar was linked to gold. The best time to sell gold recently was in the early 1980s, when it was as high as $600 to $700 per ounce. The domestic purchase price seems to be different. Feng Qingxiu was too lazy to think too much. Anyway, she loved antique jade more than gold. Gold is not like food. It is difficult to find a buyer on the black market. Feng Qingxiu thought about it. After coming out of the friendship store, she sent her child back to the hotel and went to find Zhou Minjiao. Those who have done transactions have a higher level of trust than others. An old lady like Zhou Minjiao, who wears a cheongsam and cleans the house, can be called a local snake in Shanghai. There is no one she is not familiar with, just like how she did business with other people with the help of Uncle Su and Aunt Su. Zhou Minjiao still had to work, so he wandered around her usual place of work for an hour, and sure enough, he bumped into her. Pulling her to a remote place, Feng Qingxiu asked her if she could find a buyer for the gold. "You have gold?" Zhou Minjiao couldn't believe it. He is really not an ordinary person. No wonder he lives in Jinjiang Hotel and buys cultural relics and antiques without causing trouble. Feng Qingxiu pursed her lips and said, "The money I have is not enough to spend. I prefer antiques, so I just want to sell some gold." "Old lady, you have been in Shanghai for a long time and know many people. Can you do me this favor? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment." Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 1896. Gold in troubled times and antiques in prosperous times have remained unchanged through the ages. The country is getting better and better day by day. Now I see that although the situation in Shanghai is chaotic, there is stability in the chaos, and peace in the prosperous times can be expected. I feel that I have a future, but you are willing to give up buying antiques for gold is really a wise move. Joe Minjio looked at the bright and beautiful woman in front of him with admiration, almost becoming a confidant. Not only knowledgeable, but also courageous. After these 2 decades of dilapidation, countless people are frightened and do not dare to touch cultural relics and antiques for fear of getting into trouble. Feng Qingxiu's expression was calm and she smiled elegantly. I just feel that it is a pity that our country's cultural relics are exported or sold to foreigners and end up overseas. There are too many good things in the store. Of course, investment is also one of the reasons. She does not deny her vulgar mentality. Her and Lu Jiang's careers predestined them to not be able to get rich by doing business, and they didn't know which path their children would take in the future. Therefore, these investments were necessary, at least to ensure that the family would not be short of money, and to prevent future generations from having to use their brains due to lack of money. In addition, she had a vague plan in mind that needed money to support it. Zhou Minjiao thought for a while and said to her, I know an old man who was very unlucky. His family was torn apart, his collection was burned down, and now only a little grandson is left alive. He has better luck than me. At the beginning of the year he actually rehabilitated those who had committed many evil deeds before they were punished, and he was repaid with a salary of more than 20,000 yuan. I think he is afraid and is looking for a way to send his grandson abroad. Let me help you ask. Whether he wants to buy gold or not, I guess he is definitely willing to buy it. Gold is very popular now. Sorry to trouble you, old lady. Feng Qingxiu felt that the possibility was very high, because in the late 1970s and early 1980s, many people tried their best to go abroad. A large part of them were those who had suffered crimes and were rehabilitated. They did not dare to stay in the country and would go abroad if they had the opportunity. Run. Zhou Minjiao made an appointment with her to meet at a location slightly off the back door of Jinjiang Hotel, and the time was set at 5 o'clock in the morning. When she got up early the next day, the children were still awake. Feng Qingxiu left a note for Fu Bao saying that she was going to buy breakfast, and went out the back door fully armed. Sure enough, she saw Zhou Minjiao wandering near the public toilet not far away, carrying she cleaned the house. Feng Qingxiu pretended to go to the toilet, and Zhou Minjiao followed her in. It was too early, the weather was cold, and every house had a pee bucket. No one really went to the toilet at the moment. Zhou Minjiao took out a bulging cloth bag from his arms and opened it to reveal a pile of gold. That old guy is very willing to buy gold, as long as the price does not exceed 30 yuan per gram. This is 20,000 yuan, can you eat it? Gold is so hard to come by on the black market that you can't even buy it for 30 yuan a gram. The bank purchase price is several times cheaper, but the country does not allow circulation, so it is impossible to buy it. Feng Qingxiu quickly calculated in her mind, for your sake, I'll give you 3 large yellow croakers. What do you think? When Zhou Minjiao heard this, he called out, oh, you are so generous. This old guy is taking advantage. 20,000 yuan can only buy 2 large yellow croakers on the black market at most, and you may not be able to buy it. There are 12 large yellow croakers per piece. According to the old scale, 1 or 2 pieces weigh more than 30 grams. The large yellow croaker Feng Qingxiu took out was of the best quality, with the words quality 991.0 engraved on it. Zhou Minjiao and she paid for it and delivered it, and they inspected it separately. The money is real, the gold is real, and everyone is happy. Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 1897. Gold has high density and small size, making it easy to carry. After putting away the 3 heavy large yellow croakers, Zhou Minjiao took out a red porcelain bottle from the cloth pocket hanging under the cart. The color is like ox blood, bright and deep, adding a touch of bright color to the still dark toilet. This is for you. Zhou Minjiao put the porcelain bottle into Feng Qingxiu's hand. I took your money, found someone, and after a lot of trouble, I finally got the old items from Zhou Ping's family. This is one of them. One piece. When my father was alive, he loved collecting porcelain and woodware among other things. Those old objects were his treasures, and a few of them from the Ryukil were his favorites. Although not all of them were recovered, at least they were recovered. I've come more than halfway, thank you. If it's a few days later, it will probably be bought by someone else. I heard that someone has already made a bid. Zhou Ping and his wife are greedy and didn't sell it because they thought it was cheap. The person I found was lucky enough. It cost a total of 800 yuan. Feng Qingxiu looked at the porcelain in her hand and said, "Is this Langkill red?" Zhou Minjiao's eyes were full of admiration. It's rare to see young people who have a deep understanding of these. Yes, this is indeed Langkill red during the Kangxi period, a red glazed porcelain imitating Suand ruby red. There were also red glazed porcelain in the cultural relics store, which was from the Ming dynasty. After seeing Adrian off, Feng Qingxiu went to buy it. I have 20,000 yuan in my hand, and I am very wealthy. All day long, there is nothing but buying, 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 buying. Ye Yan's money was returned to him, but Xia Shuhui's money was not. The reason was simple. If he paid back the money not long after he borrowed it, anyone would murmur in their hearts. It would be better to pay it back slowly in the future. Feng Qingxiu was worried that the salesperson in the store would be suspicious. After all, she bought too much, so she specially asked Li Jiaoyang to come forward. The living environment was different, and Li Jiaoyang didn't do much research on these, so Feng Qingxiu went shopping for a few times, wrote down the treasures she liked in a notebook, and then bought them for Li Jiaoyang. In order to distract attention, Li Jiaoyang also asked his friends from the orphanage to help. Anyway, after 4 or 5 days, Feng Qingxiu only had 2,000 to 3,000 yuan left in her hand. Most of the things she bought outside were hidden from the children. Feng Qingxiu put all these things into the space on the way back to the hotel. For those who knew about it, she always said that she had asked someone to transport them to the capital. She had a wide circle of friends, and Li Jiaoyang had no doubts about her. In the name of sending things, Feng Qingxiu took most of her luggage out of the hotel and found a remote place to store it, because many of the things inside were bought at the friendship store in front of her children. Therefore, when they returned to the capital, they only had a few luggages. Before boarding the plane, she sent a telegram to Lu Zhang. As soon as she got off the plane, she saw Lu Zhang and 2 cars coming to pick them up. I carefully calculated that there are only a few days left in your 2-month vacation. The things you sent arrived early, but you were nowhere to be seen. I thought you were too happy to miss you, Lu Zhang complained, while the suitcase that Feng Qingxiu was carrying was the same suitcase that Adrian was carrying. Feng Qingxiu showed her white teeth, and her pear dimple suddenly appeared. I'm really reluctant to leave Shanghai. It was a treasure house, and what I bought was just a drop in the bucket. Even after being separated for 2 years, Lu Erxiang still felt no stranger to his father. He put his head between them with a smile and said, I know why my mother was reluctant to leave Shanghai. There are many beautiful jewelry there. My sister liked it very much and bought a beautiful one. I can't bear to take it off. I think my mother likes it too. Dad, you must buy it for your mother. Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 1898. Lu Jiang's response was to hand the box to the guard driving the car, and then put several children into the car. It's very cold outside, and the weather forecast says there will be snow at night. If you have anything to say, we'll talk about it when we get home. Lu Jiang pushed Lu Erxiang's head in protest. I pay attention to the things your mother likes, so don't worry about it, kid. Ye Yan took the triplets in a car, and Lu Jiang and Feng Qingxiu took Fu Bao in a car. It was December in the Gregorian calendar and the weather was very cold. It took a while to drive the car before it started. Pass through half of the capital city and drive directly into the Zishan courtyard. There was a guard at the door every 5 steps and a sentry at 10 steps. When the car approached the guard, Lu Jiang opened the car window, stretched out his head and said, "I brought the children and their mother back." When they saw him, the guard saluted him and immediately let him go without any further questioning. Lu Jiang also returned a military salute before closing the car window. Fu Bao saw it and exclaimed, "Mom, it's so strict here. It's completely different from what we felt in the army. Of course, this is the capital. You can just get used to it." Feng Qingxiu only stayed here for a few days before going back to her hometown on vacation. She is also very unfamiliar with this place and needs to integrate in the future. The car stopped in front of a 3-story building assigned to their home by the state, and the adults and children got off one after another. "Wow, that's a building," Lu Erxiang's eyes widened. Feng Qingxiu corrected, "It's a villa." "Isn't a villa just a building? It's just a title." "Mom, why are you so fussy about it?" Lu Erxiang took the lead and rushed into his new home. "I'll come too." A woman in her 30s with a delicate appearance, very simple clothes and short ear-length hair walked out of the kitchen. Seeing Lu Jiang and Feng Qingxiu, she hurriedly asked, "The 2 comrades are back. Have you brought all the children back?" "The weather is cold, so I made a pot of mutton soup and drank a bowl each to warm up." "Sister-in-law Jiang, thank you for your hard work. There is another one in my hometown, and I have brought the others." Feng Qingxiu turned around and said to the children, "This Aunt Jiang is our family's nanny. Please get to know each other. Don't let her go polite." "Hello, Mrs. Jiang," the 5 children bowed in unison, their voices bright and full of vitality. Mrs. Jiang smiled brightly and said, "Hey, hello, little comrades, please sit down and have a rest while I go to serve the soup." Feng Qingxiu took off her military coat and hung it on the clothes rack. She sat on the sofa and felt sore all over. "Sister-in-law Jiang, let them wash their hands and serve it yourself. You don't have to do everything." Mrs. Jiang smiled and did not answer. Lu Erxiang saw the TV set in the living room and rushed over to open it. "Wow, it's color, Mom, it's color. And it's bigger than our TV. You didn't tell me. If I had known, I would have come back earlier." Given Lu Jiang's level, their family should have had these things as early as the 1960s. Those above the division level were equipped with sofas in the 1950s and televisions in the 1960s. However, the couple was considerate of the country's economic difficulties and the shortage of supplies. Apart from the dining table and wardrobe, there are no necessary furniture such as beds. The house we live in now was left by the previous owner, and the furniture has not been moved. Lu Jiang and Feng Qingxiu ignored the yelling Xiongsun, washed their hands, and invited the children to drink soup together. "After drinking the soup, I will take you upstairs to see your room," Lu Jiang said. There were no programs on TV now, so Lu Erxiang went to wash his hands obediently, then ran back and sat at the dining table to drink soup. Zhuang, there is so much mutton in your bowl, share it with me quickly, you won't be able to digest it." Zhuang rolled his eyes at him and put the unfinished mutton into his mother's bowl. "Slowly pick up the hand speed. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment." Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 1899. Seeing the bustle at the dining table, Mrs. Jiang smiled knowingly and hurriedly brought over the baked scallion pancakes. "You guys eat something to fill your stomach first, and I will prepare something delicious for you in the evening. Knowing that you are here today, Comrade Lu asked the orderlies to buy groceries early and told me to cook what you like." After Lu Erxiang heard this, He originally wanted to grab 2 scallion pancakes but instead grabbed 1. "Thank you, Mrs. Zhang." His mouth was very sweet. "I like eating meat, all kinds of meat." Mrs. Zhang laughed. She knew some nutrition and health care, and said seriously, "It would be better to have a lighter meal at night. There are steamed sea bass and fried shrimps. I will make big meat for you tomorrow. There is enough braised pork tube." Lu Erxiang said oh and reluctantly accepted. Feng Qingxiu drank some mutton soup and said, "Sister-in-law Zhang, you don't have to worry about them. You and Xiao Yuan can cook as you normally would. Just make enough food for everyone. We must be diligent and thrifty and not be extravagant." The leaders of the older generation always treat guests with 4 dishes and 1 soup. Why do their families have the nerve to spend so much money on food and fish? This is the inconvenience of having someone at home who specializes in cooking. As for Xiao Yuan, he was an orderly assigned to Lu Zhang by the state, and he and Sister Zhang took care of the housework together. When Lu Zhang reaches a position like this, he has secret skills: guards, orderlies, nannies, and health doctors. There are 6 guards alone, 3 at the front door and 3 at the back. They are very rare. The driver uses the guards serve, while the cooks are served by nannies and orderlies, and the wages and benefits are all funded by the state. There are cadres at the same level as Lu Zhang, and there are more than half a platoon of guards. Drivers and cooks are arranged separately. The top leader's guards are a guard platoon. It is obvious that the guards are very tight. Mrs. Zhang responded with a smile, "I'll remember it, don't worry." Lu Zhang hadn't seen his beloved wife for a long time, and he missed her so much that he urged a group of children, "Hurry up and eat, and then see if there is anything you need to tidy up in your room. I will ask someone to take you to buy the missing things tomorrow." Fu Bao drank the last sip of the soup and put down his chopsticks and spoon. A green ring full of spiritual energy swayed on Hao's wrist. "Dad, just tell us which floor the room is on, and we can go up ourselves. Your mother and I live on the 1st floor. 1 room is used as a study and reception room, and the other 2 empty rooms are reserved for your grandfather and the 3rd grandpa and grandma. The 2nd floor is your room. You are a girl and live in a separate room. The 4 of you will live in a room with 2 floors of beds. 1 room will be reserved for your brother, and the remaining room will be used as a study room for you. I will use the 3rd floor for my office." Lu Zhang has already made arrangements. The 1st floor of other people's houses is used for housing and reception, and the 2nd floor is used for offices. However, because their family has a large population, the office can only be moved to the 3rd floor. The empty room is used for collection, and some things have to be displayed on the surface. The children went to their rooms to place the daily necessities and luggage they had brought, while Feng Qingxiu went up to the 3rd floor. This building is really nice. Each floor has 4 bedrooms, 2 living rooms, and a separate bathroom. The rent is not low, right? Will it be automatically deducted from your salary every month in the future? Feng Qingxiu had just moved in when she returned to her hometown and hadn't started paying rent yet. She didn't know the specific amount. "I took a look and there is electrical appliances such as refrigerators, washing machines, air conditioners, color TVs, fans, and furniture such as sofas, wardrobes, beds, desks, bookshelves, and dining tables cost a lot of money every month." Lu Zhang spread his hands. "The rent for housing, furniture, appliances, and water and electricity bills are about 100 yuan per month, which are directly deducted. The heating fee in winter is 30 yuan, and the party dues are paid separately." Back to the 60s, The Struggle Career of a Charmed Wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 1900. Yes, this building has heating. Feng Qingxiu felt it as soon as he came in. It was very warm. Now that she heard Lu Jiang's explanation, she was dumbfounded. "So, we have to pay 100 yuan for monthly rent and water and electricity bills? Oh my god, paying rent before was not that expensive." I remember that too. Just a few bucks. Lu Jiang shrugged. The rent for a bungalow is different from that of a building. Buildings are expensive, and ours is a 3-story building. What kind of house was it before? It was either a bungalow or a base building. 100 square meters only costs a few dollars, so it's almost nothing. Feng Qingxiu casually took a notebook from Lu Jiang's desk, took out the pen from the pen holder, and wrote down the rent, heating bills, water and electricity bills and other expenses on it. We have to sum up the expenses in all aspects. I still owe Uncle Xia's 10,000 yuan. According to this kind of expenditure, it will take years and months to pay it off. Why did you borrow so much money? Is it urgent? Why didn't I listen to you? Because it was not convenient to talk on the phone. Lu Jiang didn't know about her great achievements in buying cultural relics and antiques in Shanghai. Feng Qingxiu waved her hand. Let's talk about this in the evening and plan the various expenses first. Lu Jiang came to her side and saw that she had already written down 100 yuan for rent, water and electricity bills, 1,200 yuan a year, and 30 yuan for heating. Yan and Fuebao will have to go to junior high school when they come back. The tuition is a little higher. The tuition fees, paper and pencil fees for these children are about 10 or 20 yuan a month, right? Our children are very generous and like to buy some food and fun. Lu Jiang thought for a moment. Our college has good teachers, but the tuition is a little expensive. I heard from the cotters below that their children's elementary school tuition seems to be 5 yuan, books are 2 yuan, and middle and high school tuition is 10 yuan. I can't remember whether the miscellaneous fee is 4 yuan or 5 yuan. I pay it twice a year, not every month. Feng Qingxiu paused and made a note in her notebook. Just take the highest one. Junior high school is 10 yuan plus 5 yuan per semester, 30 yuan per year, 2 is 70 yuan. Elementary school is 5 yuan plus 2 yuan per semester, 42 yuan per year for 3 children, 112 yuan per year for 5 children, plus stationery and pocket money, and Zibao's expenses are not included. Lu Jiang hesitated and said, the tuition fee alone is calculated, and the living expenses are calculated at 10 yuan per person, including pocket money and paper and pen fees. It's about 10 yuan per person per month. It's mainly paper and pen fees. All the children have to practice calligraphy. Fuebao and Zhuang prefer to draw. You can get pens, ink, and paper from me. This time I bought them from the Shanghai Ancient Books bookstore. It's a lot, and I won't be able to use it up in a few years. Feng Qingxiu wrote it down carefully, and asked clearly, next is your party dues. How much do you pay every month? Based on 2%, that's $7.02 per month, Lu Jiang replied. Feng Qingxiu wrote it down, 7.2 a month, which is 86.4 a year. Mine is based on 1%, which is 1.35 yuan a month and 16.2 yuan a year. Remember it. Let's talk about the next expenditure. Lu Jiang smiled and said, the biggest expense is food. Our family is very willing to eat. Fortunately, the prices are low and there is room for supplies to supplement it. Let's just say it's 150 yuan per month. Feng Qingxiu made a note and muttered, it's a good thing you don't smoke. You save a lot of money by drinking, but you have to pay for gas, right? How much do you think is appropriate? Maybe the kids will need a car in the future. They go to school in the compound. It's very close. Let them walk for exercise. Just remember 20 yuan for gas expenses. We will definitely use it every month for picking up and dropping off people. Feng Qingxiu wrote down, our snow cream, toothpaste, soap, toilet paper, etc. can't be counted. 20 yuan is enough.